Hi, this is my first attempt at some sort of like podcasty style thing, and clearly I'm going to suck at it, but we're going to give it a go. So I decided it's actually really difficult to have a conversation when nobody is like bouncing back off you. I mean, a lot of you say you like my vibe on videos. I like my vibe on videos, but it's really difficult to have that same like level when you're just sat talking to a flipping camera. So it was suggested this morning that like in my lives when I do them, I'm all right doing it because I have comments coming up, and so I can bounce off people and I can see where people are at. Do you get what I mean? And you kind of roll with it that way. Now, I obviously can't do that right this second. I am seemingly doing well with the bumbling along with conversation right this second though, and I'm probably boring the shit out of people, but I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do this podcast. It's a podcast no one asked for, but it's a podcast I'm going to give. So someone suggested, a guy called Kieran, well done Kieran, unless you're a girl, could be a girl called Kieran. Anyway, that's by the by. We're not even going down that route. We're steering very clear of that conversation because my political correctness, it just doesn't exist. And it's not because I have an issue. Again, I'm not going down there. I just don't. I'm not politically correct, and I never have been, and I really never will be. So it was suggested to me by Kieran, that I read through some of my comments. So a lot of these this morning are all right. I mean, I've got one that I've just replied to on my TikTok, which is, do people seriously think it's contagious? And we're talking about Tourette's here, obviously. If you haven't heard me, you have no idea who I am. I'm Jodie. I have a TikTok following of 1.8 million people. I'm not quite sure how it's happened. And it's escalated very quickly to what we are now having as my life. The reality of my life is social media has become an actual full-time job. Who knew? Who knew that that could be a thing? Yet here we are. So in that, I spend my days... Oh, look, this doesn't even bring up enough of my comments. It only brings up like a few. This is so stressful. Yeah, people do actually think this is contagious. The biggest problem I have with what I share and what I get in terms of feedback is people still can't grasp the fact that you don't tick 24/7. Like, Nicole ticks every single day. I have made that very, very, very public knowledge. Yet we still seem to have people go, oh, she's not ticking now, she didn't tick in that video. Like, I don't get why it's so difficult to understand that one tiny thing. Like, if you could take one thing away, and whenever we do interviews and whenever we get asked questions, people are like, what's the one thing you'd want people to learn? And that is always my go-to answer, because really, I genuinely want people to understand that. Like, you could meet Nicole in public and she not be ticking. You could have a whole conversation with her and she not be ticking. And then we could leave you and an hour later, she could start ticking. Like, that's just how it works. There isn't a hard and fast rule about the time of day you tick or not tick. Like, she ticks every day. Some days are less than others. So it's just, we have to just take each day as it comes, which is what I say a lot. I decided that I couldn't bring up all the comments, so I thought I would scroll back through some of my older videos, some that have got the highest amount of views, and have a ganders at those and see if I can find anything interesting to discuss on there. So this one was obviously me having a very bad day. This was on the 18th of the 5th, and I've actually done a video of a few of Nicole's like tick attacks. Now, there is one clip in that video which is the first time I've ever shared it. Now, I've made it very aware, and I've let everybody always know that anything I share, Nicole has always what's the word? Agreed's the wrong word. You know what I'm trying to say. I've checked with her. What's the word? Why can't I think of the word? Consent. Consent and permission. So she consents to everything I post. There are lots of tic tacs that we have which are videoed purely for the fact of severity and being able to share that with the paediatricians, neurologists, the doctors, etc. Because obviously they don't happen every day, thankfully. So therefore we need the video evidence in order to show how bad it can be. Because when you describe something, sometimes you can be like over exaggerating or under exaggerating, or there could be something going on further in that. Like, I don't know, some of the things look like she's having a fit. So it's about us having all of the information to give to a doctor in order for them to assess the situation properly, and us to get like the correct help and support. So that is why we first started to video document everything anyway. For me, I would love for Nicole to be confident enough for us to share a lot more of these videos. But as I've said, I won't share anything without her consent. This video I made, and I slipped in a tiny segment of something that she'd not shared before, we hadn't shared before, that she wasn't happy to share before, and it was a while ago. And I said, are you okay with that clip being in there? And she was like, yeah, it's fine, because it's only a few seconds. And that is a massive, massive thing for Nicole, because it shows how she's grown, and it shows how she is handling having Tourette's. The reason that I encourage this with Nicole is because, as we know from the amount of messages that I get, there are hundreds of people that are suffering with tics and Tourette's, and there are hundreds of people that don't feel like they have support, the same as I didn't at the very beginning. I was very lucky that I stumbled across Ryan, who is a good friend of ours, and he was really supportive of us, and is still very supportive of us, because he in fact has got Tourette's himself. And for me, I wanted to be able to be that for other people. It is really hard. I do get a lot of messages, and that's not me trying to be all big-headed. I do get a lot of messages, and sometimes I've said previously, I get overwhelmed and I have to delete everything and start again, because I've got like 400 plus messages and it's just too much. I have to think about myself and my own mental well-being as well as everybody else's. I reply to as many as I can, and I just try and blanket and aim my videos that I put on TikTok as like covering a lot of what people ask me. So although I'm not directly replying to them, I'm indirectly replying to like 5-10 people at the same time, if that makes sense. So the reason I encourage Nicole to post these things is because it's important to raise awareness and share what she actually has to go through, what we all actually have to go through. And tic tacs is a massive part of that. They are horrific, and they are the worst bit about having Tourette's. They are by far the worst bit. Now, some people say, oh, this is a tic tac, and I've watched videos of other people sharing awareness and they're like, that's a tic tac. That's not Nicole's tic tac. What they show is Nicole's normal episodes. I call them episodes. That's normally how Nicole tics on a day-to-day basis. Nicole's tic tacs, I feel, are probably quite extreme compared to a lot of other people that have got Tourette's. And I know every single person is different, and I advocate for the fact that everybody is unique like a fingerprint, and it's different. Because of Nicole's age, because of the fact that she is a young teenager who is learning to deal with this as well as being a normal teenager and all the normal stuff that comes with being a teenager, she is not in a situation where position where she feels confident to share these things. I'm sure as she gets older, things will change. I know that obviously we're friends with Evie Meg, and she shares a lot of things which are very similar to Nicole. And Nicole is just not there yet, and that's absolutely fine. We will continue to go along our journey and share what we do, and I try and interject at times, like I did this particular video on that day, of Nicole's tic attacks in amongst all the other stuff that we deal with. They're brutal, like they are genuinely brutal, and I didn't know they were a thing. And the whole point about my page, the whole thing that I try to show and raise awareness for, is the fact that I was like everybody else who first starts watching my page. I was really naive, and that's not being rude. I was really naive and I was really uneducated about Tourette's. And that's nobody's fault. That's just how society and how the media, and before TikTok came along, it was just how it was shown and how it was portrayed. I've watched it there was a lad on the Undateables, the program, and he had Tourette's, and the bits that they've showed of him were him just swearing random stuff and shouting. Yeah, it was funny. I laughed the same as I'm sure everybody else laughed. And what a great guy he is. But that's not all the sides of Tourette's. That's not what tics are. Like, that's not the day-to-day of having this disability. And it is a disability. It can be the most disabling thing in the world. And there are good days and there are bad days. But ultimately, it is a daily struggle. And I don't think that the media portrays all of that, because that is not the entertaining side. That is not the side that people want to see. People don't want to see you crying. People don't want to see you upset. It's boring. Why do they want to see that? People want to see the funniness. People want to see the drama of it. That is just how, as a society of people, we are, unfortunately. Here was me thinking I wouldn't be able to talk, but I can talk for England. So I'm not going to go on forever. I'm not really sure how long these things are meant to be. I do think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to post this on my YouTube account as my first kind of podcasty style video. And I'm going to then ask people to comment underneath about subjects that you would like me to discuss. I am going to put some other ones. I am going to video some other ones that I've got planned with. I've got at least 2 people, 3 people that I have got planned to have a discussional style podcast with. I guess the whole point and the aim of everything I've done research wise is so that you can listen to this like you're walking along. You don't need to actually see the video, that you could be on the train or on the bus or in the car or whatever and just have the audio on and listen to my drivelling voice going on and on and on. If you are somebody in radio and you would love for me to come on the radio, then I'm happy to oblige. I do think I have a monotone voice, but we can roll with it and see. And I could be quite good, and I could try and rein in the swearing so that I don't say see you next Tuesday live on air anywhere. So if somebody does feel like, oh my God, she can talk for England, we would love her on the show, then just hit me up. Failing that, I will continue to be here, continue to bore you. If you don't want to listen to me, that is absolutely fine. Other than that, hit me in the comments below about what subjects you want me to go on about. I don't mean go on about, I mean discuss appropriately in a professional manner